Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today. A man who said he hated big pharmacies allegedly took the life of a Walgreens worker in California.
We're tracking a developing story out of Madera. An innocent Walgreens employee has died after police say he was shot by a stranger angry at large pharmacies. That suspect is in jail tonight as we learn more about the chilling crime that was caught on store surveillance video. And thanks for joining us tonight for Action News Live at 5. I'm Warren Armstrong.
And I'm Graciela Moreno. The shooting happened last night in Madera just before the store was set to close. The Walgreens is part of a commercial area off of Cleveland and Schnorr Avenues.
Action News anchor Nick Garcia is there live tonight with what we know about the victim and his accused killer. Nick?
Well, good evening. Throughout the day, we've seen upset employees meeting here in this parking lot, not here for work, but to mourn Eric Velasquez, the man shot and killed inside that pharmacy last night. Listen to this. Police tell us the last thing Velasquez did was call 911 for help, but he was unable to speak when the dispatcher picked up. Narciso Fernandez is seen firing a shot at a Walgreens surveillance camera moments after police say he killed an innocent store employee, Eric Velasquez.
And he, what I feel like, is trying to erase this heinous act, which he can. It's forever now stuck in the lives of our citizens here in Madera.
Just after 9:30 Monday night, police say Fernandez walked into this pharmacy and opened fire, pulling the trigger at least 5 times, striking Velasquez and sending other employees and customers running for their lives. We're now learning more about the gunman's disturbing motive. Detectives say Fernandez drove more than 80 miles from Pixley to Madera, specifically looking for a pharmacy to attack.
We do know he has a general disdain or grudge against pharmacies, large-scale pharmacies.
Tuesday morning, the Walgreens remained closed. A sign redirecting customers to a nearby location, the only indication of the crime that happened inside the night before. Walgreens sent Action News a statement saying in part, "We are deeply saddened by last night's tragic event, which resulted in the death of one of our team members. Our thoughts and prayers are with their loved ones during this difficult time."
Eric Velasquez is a community member that many know in our community, including our officers who grew up with him. He's a family man, has 2 children and a wife, just a wonderful man, and it's a true tragic incident.
The chief says swift action by first responders prevented Fernandez from killing anyone else, as he was reloading his handgun in the parking lot when officers arrived. Here you see him surrendering minutes after the shooting spree.
They confronted him with bravery in the parking lot, not knowing what they were going up against.
Fernandez is now booked in jail on several felony charges, including murder. And as you can imagine, it will be very difficult for employees to return to work here. The company tells us it's focused on supporting the team on the ground here and will have on-site counseling over the next couple of days, including on Thursday when it's scheduled to reopen. For now, live in Madera, I'm Nick Garcia, ABC 30 Action News.
Now, in this alleged incident that took place at a Madera, California Walgreens last Monday, 30-year-old Narciso Gallardo Fernandez came into the Walgreens with a handgun in his pocket and a grudge against big corporate pharmacies like Walgreens. And as he walked into the Walgreens, he pulled out that gun and allegedly shot and killed 34-year-old employee Eric Velasquez on 9:30 on that Monday evening, and then fired his gun at other in-store employees who wound up fleeing the store. And after shooting in the store, this is where 30-year-old Narciso Gallardo Fernandez then wound up fleeing the store. And after he wound up fleeing the store, he then wound up reloading his gun looking to go out here and try to participate in more shootings. However, responding officers soon found him in the parking lot, and as they found him in the parking lot reloading his gun, they wound up taking him into custody and wound up charging him with murder and attempted murder and gun enhancement. And after taking him into custody, the police in Madera, California, are seeing this as an isolated incident. But when I take a critical examination of the alleged behavior Narciso Gallardo Fernandez participated in, it definitely fits the pattern and profile for cyber simps that I talk about in my book Stop Simping in Cyberspace, and also fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that Narciso Gallardo Fernandez definitely is one of these young men who has basically grown up in the time of the COVID lockdowns and has basically been in an echo chamber, imbibing a whole lot of misinformation regarding conspiracy theories about big pharmacies, and that was basically what had him simmering and boiling in anger as he was living in his rose-colored reality in the secret world. Now, when it comes to a lot of these beta males do not live in the real world with the rest of us, and because they don't live in the real world with the rest of us, they look to escape to a place I call the secret world, a place where they can have their power as a man and feel secure about expressing their natural masculinity and in some cases their natural sexuality. And in the case of Narciso Gallardo Fernandez, as he was living in the secret world, he began to basically stay online, and as he was online he started to enter into one of these conspiracy theory echo chambers where he was basically going down a rabbit hole, telling him all sorts of misinformation about big pharmacies. And as he was sitting there reading this misinformation regarding these conspiracy theories, this is where this cyber simp basically got so caught up in his feelings about the misinformation that he was reading regarding these pharmacies and the injustices that he had been told about them, that he began to believe all the misinformation that he was reading was the actual truth. And that's all part of a very disturbing trend regarding many young people who are a part of Gen Z and Generation Alpha and Generation Beta. A lot of these young people basically are showing us that there's an entire dark side to the internet when there's nobody there to go out here and parent. Now, unlike Generation X and Millennials, who basically grew up in a place of balance, and because we did not have all this advanced technology around us, we had parents that would go out here and supervise our watching and imbibing the information on the internet, and would basically be able to tell us what is fact and what is opinion. Unfortunately, what's happened to a lot of these younger people is that they're going on this information superhighway, and as they're going on this information superhighway, they're basically taking everything as a fact. And when it comes down to beta males, they basically take everything as a fact that is presented to them, because many of these beta males sadly do not have any sort of critical thinking skills or ability to use logic and reason. They don't really have good discernment, and because they don't have good discernment, what happens is that these people, when they go on the internet and they do a Google search, they don't go out here and look at where the sources are coming from, whether they are legitimate sources or if they are somebody's opinion. And what happens to these individuals is that they start buying into these conspiracy theories that are presented online and start to believe them as fact. And as they start to believe these conspiracy theories to be fact, what makes things worse is that search engines like Google go out here and use their algorithm to go out here and feed people more of these sites that are filled with misinformation. And as they're filled with this misinformation, these people basically sit there and read this misinformation, believing that because there are multiple sources of this misinformation, that this misinformation is an actual fact. And this is what leads to these individuals winding up on the road to believing these conspiracy theories to be fact, similar to what happened with Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione basically sat there in one of these online echo chambers, even though he had an Ivy League degree and was coming from a wealthy family. He basically went down one of these rabbit holes of misinformation, and as he went down one of these rabbit holes of misinformation, he began to buy into the conspiracy theories regarding United Healthcare, and then looked to go out here and stalk their CEO on camera and allegedly wind up looking to assassinate that CEO, all based on that misinformation. And the same thing is happening here with Narciso Gallardo Fernandez, and basically showing me a growing trend with these beta males who grew up during the COVID lockdowns. A lot of these beta males who came up during the COVID lockdowns, basically as they were in lockdown, wound up taking trips down these rabbit holes, and as they took trips down these rabbit holes, reading all of these conspiracy theory websites and conspiracy theory pages on places like Reddit and 4chan and many other websites, what happened with these individuals is that they wound up taking a misinformation overload, and as they took that misinformation overload, what happened with these individuals is that they wound up simmering and boiling in anger about a social or political cause that basically they have been misinformed about, and believing that they needed to take action to go out here and say their feelings about the anger that they have. Like in the case of Narciso Gallardo Fernandez, he felt he was angry about these big pharmacies, and he felt he needed to take action, and that's why he decided to take himself to this Walgreens to participate in what I believe to be a mass shooting. However, as he came into the Walgreens, thank God he only wound up hurting only one person, and it really was sad that he wound up hurting only one person, and hurting one person because he wanted to go out here and take a shot at these pharmacists, not understanding that in a Walgreens, most of the people working there are just regular working people. Again, people who just work in stock in the store, making $15 to maybe $17 an hour. That's what the Eric Velasquez basically was. He was just a guy working a job, just trying to make a little bit of money. I mean, I know I tried to apply for these jobs, and you're just trying to make whatever you can, working part-time. And this guy comes in seething with anger about a cause he's been misinformed by, and winds up taking the life of an innocent person who has absolutely nothing to do with anything, all because this man has a grudge against a pharmacy, a grudge based in misinformation. And sadly, many here in America can't see this part of the man crisis and how it's basically showing us an escalation of the man crisis, because this is an escalation that shows us what's really happening, because the way we're raising boys and to become men and girls to become women within this digital age is not raising people to become healthy and well-adjusted. No, they're being raised on this internet to become maladjusted and really unhealthy. And again, unhealthy as related to their whole perception of reality, because they're going out here buying into this misinformation, buying into misinformation from these online echo chambers that algorithms basically feed these young people, and feed these young people a whole lot of misinformation that has them, again, believing they need to act with violence. And sadly, many people at corporations like Google and many other big businesses aren't seeing how they are enabling this dysfunction in males like this, who, again, like I've said before, beta males don't know how to process information. They don't know how to think critically. They don't know how to go out here and discern sources. No, when it comes to the beta male, they take everything literally. And as they take everything literally, what they do is literally go on rampages like this. Because we don't really want to go out here and police our internet, and basically educate young people to understand that when it comes to this internet, you really have to take everything with a grain of salt. You have to take everything with a grain of salt, because much of the information that you believe that you're seeing is misinformation, because if it doesn't come from credible sources, you're getting a lot of opinion that is being presented as fact. And if you want to go out here and get information, you have to go and get multiple sources, and again find those counterpoints so that you can find the actual facts. And that's hard to do because there's so many conspiracy theories out here being presented as facts, and many of these young people don't have any sort of parents to go out here and help them discern this between information and misinformation. And that's what's really sadly happening in these situations with young people like Narciso Gallardo Fernandez, that is leading to an escalation of these kinds of tragedies. That's what people aren't really thinking about, because they're sitting there in their feelings about that guy Luigi Mangione, and not understanding that this is about a pattern in young people, because our information superhighway is so overloaded with misinformation that people who are younger, again, we have to look at the world from their perspective. People who are younger are not really understanding the difference between information and misinformation, and that's where we're having the problem that no one wants to talk about in the world of politics or business, that's further exacerbating the man crisis in this country. Now, what's really sad about Narciso Gallardo Fernandez is because he was not socialized and taught how to think critically or how to discern with information. He's gone from being a man who had his intangibles of manhood, such as his dignity, his self-respect, and most importantly, his freedom. His freedom, he basically did not learn to value because he was so caught up in that going down that rabbit hole of misinformation. And as he was getting caught up in his grudge against pharmacies, he's gone from being a free man who could be on the internet to being a man who's going to be in crisis. And he's going to be in crisis going from looking to go into this Walgreens to participate in this heinous crime to winding up in the jail, and then if he's convicted, the penitentiary, where he will be getting a injection from a different type of pharmacist in Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles, as they give him a hot beef injection in the front side and the back side, as they trade him for Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, packets of Hawaiian Punch, off-brand lemon lime drink, off-brand grape drink, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand apple juice, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand vanilla wafers, off-brand ginger snaps, off-brand sugar wafers, Hunt's snack pack puddings, big beef sausages, hot peppers, hot tamales, and all sorts of items on the commissary, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies. This is what's going to happen to Narciso Gallardo Fernandez as he's in prison. He's going to be turned out and given a big dose of medicine in beef summer sausages in the front side and the back side, as he's spit roasted. And as he's spit roasted by Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles, he then, eventually after being spit roasted, will have to deal with Mr. Sprinkles coming in and then spraying the front side and the backside with special sauce, and then calling all the guys from Cell Block D to go out here and see him after he applied this medicine to his backside, split his cheeks open, and show everyone what his backside looks like, being completely glazed like the inside of a Louisiana crunch cake. And sadly, that's when Narciso Gallardo Fernandez, after he goes through internet withdrawal, will realize the reality that will set in for himself, that he basically got himself into because he decided to, again, stay on this internet going down these rabbit holes. And sadly, as he was going down the rabbit hole, it led to this guy's going back in his booty hole. That sadly is what's going to happen to this man. And again, 30 years old, and basically wind up losing his freedom, all because he got caught up in his feelings about misinformation on the internet. Again, this is what people aren't thinking critically about as related to all of this misinformation that you're seeing online. And when it comes to things you see online, you have to, again, as I repeat it once more, take those things with a grain of salt, because the thing is, you don't want to go out here and act on your feelings. This is why I tell people to navigate through your emotions. You don't want to act act on your feelings and cost yourself more important intangibles as related to your manhood, or in the case of women, even your womanhood. You don't want to lose your freedom getting upset about these big corporations that come and go. I mean, when it comes to corporations like Walgreens, they basically are going to come and go because Walgreens recently was sold to one of these venture capitalist companies. So Walgreens may not be around much longer, but you'll be around a lot longer doing life in prison inside of a penitentiary, while this corporation is basically being cut to pieces and sold in pieces by these venture capitalists. I mean, or private equity. It really was a private equity company that just bought Walgreens. So you're throwing away your life to, again, sate your feelings on a grudge. That's what Narciso Gallardo Fernandez did, wound up throwing away his freedom all over a grudge over a corporation that was already on the brink of bankruptcy and bought by one of these private equity firms. Basically threw away things that were more important, upset about one of these companies. Again, upset about these big pharmacies. Again, these companies come and go, but your life, you only get one life, and God only gives you one life. And since God gives you only one life, you have to see it as being extremely precious, because God did not mean for you to go out here and again destroy your life like this. No, this is what the devil does, and this is why you have to, again, have some spiritual discernment as related to processing information on this internet. And this is something many young children are not understanding. And again, this young man, he was 30 years old, but he's all part of that age range of people who grew up with computers. I mean, many of the Gen Zs grew up with these computers over 30 years ago. And as they're growing up, sadly, what's happening to these young people is they don't have parents to teach them discernment, and teach them discernment that will keep them from winding up on a road to winding up becoming a man in crisis. Now, if you want to learn how to identify online predators and learn how to discern information from misinformation, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, on Amazon.com, and that book will teach you all about all the pitfalls and dangers of the internet and how to avoid those pitfalls and dangers and basically maintain your freedom instead of going out here and losing everything as you're caught up in some sort of all sorts of foolishness. Because what's on the internet, again, you have to very well just again take with a grain of salt, because everything here really isn't what you think it is, and you can wind up losing your mind and losing your soul and your freedom if you stay on this internet and don't know how to, again, be able to hear, see and not see, and hear and not hear, and go on about your business. Now, if you want to learn how to identify the behavior of a beta male and prevent them from winding up on the road to being a man in crisis, or help save a member of your family and keep them off a road of self-destruction, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos about the man crisis, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.